What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Stupidiots podcast. Um, I'm Jesse. This is Whitney.
Hey.
Uh, it's been a minute since you recorded our last one, so I'm a bit out of practice here because you were kind of binge recording the first several episodes, and now we're doing it more spaced out, so I'm not as in the routine as before. But last time, I believe I won. I forget what. Oh, dog breeds. It was dog breeds was the topic. Um, I won the dog breeds episode, so I picked slasher villains for this week's topic. Um, so basically, our top 10 favorite murderers. And it's a topic I say this a lot, but I have a fairly passionate number one pick just because while I don't think my number one is necessarily like underrated. Everybody for the most part will know who the number one is. Like they are a very prominent slasher killer, one of the most prominent, I would say. But every time I look up a list, they never get number one. They're always on there, but they're never number one. So I'm here to right that wrong today. At least from what I've seen. I also don't watch a ton, so I could be wrong, and this person could be like the most beloved slasher killer of all time. but we'll see. We'll see. Before we get started, I do have a quick story of something I just heard about. By the time this goes up, it'll be outdated, but I just heard about I think is so ridiculous but goofy that I thought it'd be funny to disclose on the podcast. Apparently, over in Boston, there was a marathon, and this this one guy posted on Reddit. I didn't see this Reddit post, but I heard about it. Basically saying that I guess one of the runners stopped in this dude's lawn and shit on his lawn. One of the runners stopped and took a shit on this dude's lawn.
Are you fucking serious?
Yeah. And so the dude posted on Reddit, like, can you believe this person just shit on my lawn? And all the comments from the Boston subreddit are defending the runner. When apparently there were porta potties along the route for the runners to use.
There's no way this is real.
Yeah. Yeah, let me see if I can. Boston
I'm
Marathon. The pooper, I should say. If I search up Boston Marathon, I get a much more serious story. But yeah, FoxNews.com. Boston Marathon runner appears to take bathroom break on someone's front lawn. Someone dropped a squat and returned to action.
3 times? Wait, what? Hold up.
In the middle of Monday's Boston Marathon. This is just a couple days ago. Front lawn. Before he turns toward the home, drops his pants and squats.
Ooh, apparently this is not the first time it's happened, because I just found a girl that apparently did it.
I don't know, but it was just the fact that a lot of them were like, yeah, well, you're rude for not offering her your bathroom, or him. They just said the runner. But you're rude for not offering that person the bathroom, or you don't know what it's like to run a marathon. That was probably an emergency. It's like, yeah, but there are porta potties, and if you let it get that bad, that's your own fault. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not like a serious situation. Like, it's not like something I'm getting freaking good at death on, because it's just so fucking funny.
Like, that is just like.
Imagine if there's a marathon going on around you, somebody just takes a shit on your lawn. It's like, that wonder... sucks, but like at the same time, that is going to be a hilarious story to tell people in the future.
I know, right? I wonder if like it was running past his like lawn or whatever, and he was watching from the window and just watched all of this happen. I'm like, what?
I don't know, but it's hilarious.
That's insane.
Yeah.
I don't know what I would do in that situation, because I sure the hell am not going outside to pick up any human feces. What would you even do? How would you even react?
I don't know how I would react to that.
That's insane. That's
Yeah,
insane.
it is quite insane. Um, but with that being said, on to our topic. Um, um, slasher villains. All right. So I, we made this up last time. Was it the loser flips the or calls the coin toss,
No, it was
or
the
is it the
winner.
winner calls the coin? Okay. Well,
The winner caused.
I call heads. Alexa, flip a coin.
Okay. You got heads.
All right. So
I guess first, right?
I I
Yeah,
think so.
yeah. Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
just say
You tell yours first.
whoever wins the coin toss picks. I pick for you to guess me first, since I feel like I tend to be the second person
You really do.
a lot more
And then
often.
it's
So I want to mix it up a bit. I want you to be the final number one reveal this time.
Okay. Let me preference this in just saying that my mind completely went blank. Like, so bad. I could not even think of one single slasher villain. And I had to, like, put all my brain power into this list. So I feel like I only got maybe one of these right. 1 out of the 10. I've
Well,
got
surely there's at least there's a few pretty obvious gimme ones. I feel like you probably got. I don't know if you got them perfect, but like, I'm sure you listed them somewhere.
Probably, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. But with that being said, I put for your number 10, Freddy Krueger.
That is incorrect. My number 10 was the miner from My Bloody Valentine.
Ooh, see, I've never seen that.
I have. I've seen it and I've seen the remake. It's just I'm like they don't have a ton of character, but at the same time it's just like I don't know about you, but I find mines to be pretty creepy, or like deep caves if you're like by yourself. Obviously I'm not really stuck in that situation very much, but like like just the idea of being in such a primal environment where there's nothing for survival around you and can't see anything, nobody will ever find you if anything happens. That idea is just pretty creepy to me, and the miner kind of like does a really good job of playing off of that fear, and I think just makes him very creepy and very intimidating, especially since like you can't see his face. Cause most of these people have masks on, but like in this situation where it's like a typical like everyday thing, like a person that works in a mine would wear, but you never like you just don't know who it is. It's real creepy, and I thought that was really intimidating. So that earned him the number 10 spot on my list.
Interesting.
Yeah, but my guess for your number 10 was the Candyman.
Incorrect. So, no, the Candyman is not my number 10. My number 10 is Jason Voorhees. Like, you can't leave Jason Voorhees off the list because he's such a good character.
Yeah, and he's probably the most iconic of looking slasher villain. Like, that mask is like the slasher mask, even though it doesn't show up till the third movie. But
yeah, it's just, I don't know, it's one of my favorites and a very underrated film. Was, I think it's Jason X, I think is the name of it.
Jason X is glorious. The one where he's in space.
Yes, Jason X when he's
I
in
love
space.
that one. And it's goofy, but like
it was so off the wall from all the other films. I was just like, what the fuck? Why did they decide to go to space?
Like when he freaking
Also, how did he get in space? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
He's just randomly there.
So I love the kill from Jason X where he like after he wakes up and there's like the nurse lady and he like shoves her head into the like liquid nitrogen and destroys it over the countertop.
Yes.
And whenever he goes to the simulated Camp Crystal Lake and there's the girls trying to like seduce him, whatever, so like, oh, we're gonna have sex, you want to join us? Because that's his pet peeve. And like they go to the sleeping bag, he just picked up the sleeping bag and bashes it against the tree over and over until they're dead. It's
That's freaking hilarious.
it's goofy in all the right ways. I love that movie.
Didn't they also have a Jason versus Freddy?
Yes, they did. There was
I think it's on my collection for the Freddy movies.
It
Nightmare
should
on
be,
Elm
yeah.
Street.
If you have the same collection I do, then it should be.
Such a good killer.
Yeah, Jason, I don't think anybody can argue that Jason's a great killer. His movies don't exactly have a good plot, but that's not what you're there for. If you're watching
Right.
Friday the 13th, you want to see him freaking slash him, put a machete in a wheelchair-bound dude's head, and watch him roll down the hill with the machete in his face.
Okay, I say this all the time because every time I say this, it makes me sound like I'm about to like fucking be a serial killer. But anytime I watch a slasher film, I say fuck everybody. I want them to die.
Yeah.
Like I am rooting for the killer.
Like
100%.
I feel like in most slasher movies that's the case. Though I do want there to. I feel like there was a movie recently that I just don't remember that did this, but I like the idea of having a slasher movie where they like the first like 30 minutes of the movie is just like a really heartfelt, emotional story of a family like going through some trauma stuff and working things out to get you real attached to them, just to watch them all get slaughtered later on after you're they want like to make you actually like the people, not make them real generic, but like have a super emotional story, like sort of like what was it, A Quiet Place. You kind of get attached to the family throughout the movie, and that just to have to watch them all die, I feel like would be a lot scarier. But for most cases, I want the killer to win. Most of the time,
Yeah.
the killer's, unless the killer's just really stupid and not likable, I want the killer to win because the killer's the most interesting character and the most entertaining part of the whole movie.
So it's a good thing that you bring up The Quiet Place, because like I absolutely love slasher films. And I had been saying for years, way before The Quiet Place was even a thing, that I would like them to make a slasher film, and I think it would make it so much scarier. A slasher film where there is no suspense music, like where there's no music at all.
Just
It
silence.
Yeah, it just all plays out. Because I feel like with the music, it just gives it away too much, and I feel like if you did take away the music, or like at least mellow the music out as not so it's not as suspenseful, it'd be a lot scarier. I would love for them to make a legitimate slasher film like that, not like The Quiet Place. Quiet Place is kind of different.
Yeah, it's more of a sci-fi horror.
Right. But like I want like a slasher film, like Jason or Michael or somebody going after something. But the film is similar to like The Quiet Place in the sense that it's not like
there's
music.
We can go back to this topic later on. There's not the same thing, but there is a one I'm gonna mention later that has not that subject, but a similar subject that I think made a certain killer creepy. But we'll get to that at a later time.
Interesting. All right. So, with that being said, let's move on to your number 9. For your number 9, I did put the title on it because it was pretty vague, because there's just so many that actually become this character that it's hard to name one. Texas Chainsaw.
Okay, that's not what I thought you were going to go with. So you're thinking like Leatherface? Is that what you...
Yeah, like
Okay.
Leatherface. So because there was like, it was at one point, I forget his name. There was like one guy named Tommy, I think it was his cousin or whatever, that ended up becoming Leatherface. It was just, it moved so much throughout the family that you can't really just name one.
I've only seen the original, the sequel, and then the remake. Not the recent one, but like the 2003.
Yeah.
That one. I haven't seen the newest one, the requel, I think is what they call these now. And I haven't seen any of the movies in between, so I didn't know any of that stuff. I only knew of the one. But no, my number 9 is actually Norman Bates from Psycho. And that is just because that's probably the only black and white movie that I can think of that I still like watch. Just because I think the black and white actually benefits the movie more than anything. It gives it a lot. It gives it because color movies existed by the time Psycho came out, but black and white works really well for the movie's like atmosphere and environment. It makes it a lot creepier and a little more twisted. And Norman Bates as a character is really cool and one of the most famous, I guess, spoilers for a 60-year-old movie or whatever, but but one of my favorite plot twists of all time comes from Norman Bates, and he's just really cool. I haven't seen anything outside of Psycho. I haven't seen like the Bates Motel series or anything like that, but I'm a big fan of the original movie. So, yeah. Have you seen Psycho? I feel like we talked about this. I thought maybe you hadn't seen it. Whitney? Oh no.
Sorry, my mic
Oh,
went out.
okay.
I didn't even realize it was off. Sorry. No, so I've actually never seen Psycho. I didn't even know it was a thing. The only thing I've seen Norman Bates related was like episode 1 of Bates Motel. I didn't know that like Norman Bates had anything before Bates Motel.
Yeah, so Psycho's where it originates, and it's a very, very good movie. I like it a lot. But he only lands a number 9 spot because his kills aren't like flashy or entertaining types of kills. Because that type of slash movie just didn't really exist yet at the time, and that wasn't the style of movie they were going for. They're going for more of a murder mystery slasher vibe.
Yeah.
So it just didn't really work for it to have like some freaking decapitations and whatnot like showing up. But yeah, he was a very interesting character. But my guess for your number 9 is going to be the shortest character to appear on this list, I imagine. I went with Chucky.
Incorrect. So my number 9 is actually the one and only Michael Myers.
Fuck.
Originally he was like my number 1.
And he got bumped all the way down to 9.
Yeah, at one point. Well, not when I made this list. He was like my number 1.
Oh, like in previous. Oh, okay. I thought you meant like when you started making the list.
Yeah.
It just kept getting bumped down.
I just like scroll back. Yeah. No. So he was my number 1 for many years. But because of so many remakes coming out, it kind of just like diluted him and just didn't make him as good of a killer in my opinion. Especially with the last 3 series. If you look at the actual wiki for Michael Myers, there were 3 different timelines for him originally.
There's a ton of different like the Halloween timelines, all over the place.
Oh yeah, because like they did them and then they like, oh okay, those timelines don't exist anymore. Pretend those were never there type thing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you just can't do that to a movie.
Honestly,
so, like,
I hated all the timelines, so I was okay with it. Just because I hated everything after Halloween 2.
I absolutely hate starting a series and then the series like just getting cut off. So the fact that they ended like the second timeline with like the baby Tommy, I think his name was, I don't even remember, but the little baby, the fact that he escaped and like lived and whatnot, I don't know, it really messed me up, and I'm like, no, no, you can't do that. But also at the same time, I found it really fucked up because that was him and his niece's child. I'm like, okay, that timeline shouldn't have existed in the first place, but at the same time, you're like supposed to be killing your family, but you're gonna let this baby go, and I'm like, I need to know what happened to the baby. You need to explain what happened after it got away.
I personally, in terms of the overall timeline, even though like especially the most recent one was not good, the new one might be my favorite timeline just because it keeps it simple for the most part, and again until the last one. The last one kind of ruined everything. And the Halloween Kills wasn't the best either, though some of the kills were entertaining. At least, like, because the original Halloween kept it pretty simple. Like, it simple and mysterious, not showing a ton about Michael's past or anything, not explaining it is what makes him creepy. At least that was the original intent. And I think the new movies did that pretty well, but they just can't seem to figure out how to end a timeline without it being awful. Like,
Oh God,
they
I
were so
know.
close to getting it right on Halloween Ends, in my opinion, that they had to freaking make a whole new villain for some reason out of nowhere and have him take up 90% of the movie, and then Michael just kind of comes back at the end.
That one
And
was so trash. They should have
it's
just left it where it was in
like
the previous movie.
the like the ending sequence with Michael I actually enjoyed. I thought it was really good, but it didn't feel earned because he's been gone the entire movie with this random kid that they just decided to introduce and make the villain now. The entire movie.
Yeah,
It's-
I
Like
fucking,
if they
I
just
hated
if
that
they just
one.
took the ending to Halloween Ends and put it on Halloween Kills, I think that would have like and just made Halloween Kills longer. That would have worked so much better than what they went with. So I thought Halloween 2018 was good. I liked it as again, keeping things pretty simple, making Michael a creepy stalker again, and while keeping the tension there and all that stuff. I thought it was good, but they can't make a Halloween timeline without fucking it up. So
Okay, I will say the only thing I liked about Halloween Ends, and it was so fucked up. It was so fucked up. Spoilers for anybody who has not seen the movie yet. But in the beginning with this new
when the kid gets knocked
killer,
off the balcony.
when they fucking kicked that kid off the balcony, I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ, how much force did he kick the door with? Good God.
It was funny. It was funny when it was not meant to be, but at
Yeah,
the same
no.
time, it just shocked me because I was not expecting that to happen. Like I was kind of expecting the kid to die. I'm gonna be
Yeah.
honest there. I was expecting the kid to die, but I was not expecting him to
Yeah,
fly off
not like that. Yeah, that's not what I thought he would be locked in there, then the kid would die while he was locked in there. Like Michael would kill the kid or something, and then like then like whatever the new villain teen kid's name was, whenever he opens the door, like Michael's just standing there or something
So-
like that.
What I thought was gonna happen was I thought like some way somehow the teenager was gonna get out of the closet, and while like trying to handle the situation somehow, some way, accidentally stabs the boy.
Oh, I thought it was gonna be like the boy gets stabbed while he's locked in there since he can't protect him anymore.
No,
or something.
so because I thought it was gonna allude because like he came running with the knife and all, so I thought it was gonna allude to like somehow some way like the kid accidentally got stabbed while he was trying to get under control, but like I was like, what the fuck? Like how the fuck? Can that even really happen? I want
I
to.
don't know.
I want Mythbusters. I want Mythbusters to like kind of fucking like
Yeah.
figure that shit out. I need to know the answer to this question. Could that really fucking happen?
Yeah.
Oh my
Alright.
god, that was so insane.
All right, let's move on. Just so I don't want to have a 2-hour long episode because I feel like we're gonna have a lot of things to say about a lot of these. Whenever that we have in common, or at least the big guys, the big 3 to 6.
So
Slashers.
funny enough though, my number 8 for you was Jason Voorhees.
Incorrect. My number 8 was John Kramer, also known as Jigsaw.
Ooh.
This is one that like I didn't know if it counted, so I did what I was telling Whitney about before this. Like I was like, I know he kills people, but like, does it count as a slasher though? Because he's not like stabbing or chopping people. He's putting them in traps, but he does. He does count. I have confirmed, according to most websites, it does count as a slasher. And I love Saw 1. Saw 2 was alright. It was pretty good. and the movies just kind of steadily get worse over time. Jigsaw was better than Saw 7, but not as good as like Saw 1 or 2. I have not seen Spiral, so I don't know if that one's any good or not. But I feel like for people that are not into gore, I feel like the original Saw has a kind of a bad reputation based off of its sequels. The first Saw movie really isn't gory. Like, if you can watch Friday the 13th, that's gore. Like, the Friday the 13th series is way gorier than the first Saw movie. Like,
Okay, so I do have to say, I agree with you on that aspect. Legit, I don't know why I didn't think of Jigsaw, but legit, my mom took me to see that movie when I was like 5.
Oh, I didn't see it till I was an adult.
5 or 6.
My mom
Yeah,
hated
no,
them.
like my mom brought me to the movie, so we watched the original Saw movie. We watched The Grudge.
The American
then-
one, I presume.
I believe so. I actually don't really remember. I just know.
I know the American one came out around that same time, so I presume.
I think it might have been the American one then. And then there was like a third movie that we watched. So it was like 2 horror movies and then like 2 serious horror movies, and then like more of a kid friendly esque type horror movie. So it was a 3-flick feature. We stayed up all night watching these. On Halloween night one year at the drive-in theater, and then I remember this because it was so weird. And it's not like drive-ins now when you go, but you would leave your car at like 2:30 in the morning, and they served you hot breakfast in the building. They had this nice building, and they served you hot breakfast. There was like pancakes and
I'm hungry
eggs
now.
and sausage.
We
Yeah.
skip past this part. I'm getting hungry. My stomach's gonna growl on the microphone. I love breakfast
so
food.
Good, and I really, really, really wish that like drive-ins were
Oh.
still like that, because I would absolutely love to go to another flick like that.
I
But
haven't
yeah,
been
no,
to
I
one around here
completely-
yet, but
I
maybe she'll be
remember
able to
my
get
mom
to.
doing that. They am taking us to see Saw. Saw is such a really good movie.
I didn't think I would like it because I'm not like. Yeah, I like violent slasher movies. I just don't like. I just wasn't sure I would like a movie where because at least the reputation for Saw and most of the movies after the first one are just torture devices ripping people apart. Is kind of that's the reputation. So I didn't know why people liked it other than I guess maybe the practical effects looking cool.
Yeah.
So I watched the first Saw. I bought the collection because at the time there was only 7 movies. It was when we thought it was done.
Yeah.
I waited a few years after the final chapter to watch it. I was going into high school, but I watched it. And so I watched the first one. And I was like, that really wasn't very gory. It was just a really good like thriller movie more than anything. Like the ending.
Exactly.
I'm not going to spoil the ending just in case Shelby listens to this because I know she hasn't seen it yet, and I want her to watch it. She has the same assumption I used to, thinking that like it'd be too gory and it might make her sick. I keep telling her, I was like,
Right.
no, the first one is fine. I won't make you watch past the first one because they just kind of go downhill from there. Like Saw 7, the final chapter, I absolutely fucking hate it. But the first movie, especially the ending, is so fucking good. Like I was on the edge of my seat that movie, just like wondering like what's happening, what's going to happen, why is all this happening. Again, the second one wasn't bad. The second one was pretty good, but like starting with like Saw 3 was when it really started dipping into like, okay, like now they're just kind of keeping it going for the sake of keeping it going, trying to
Yeah.
find reasons for the plot to continue. But,
Yeah, the plot really dwindled. Honestly, I think the traps really dwindled too once it got to that point.
there are a couple. I forget which was in Saw 2 or 3. I think. Which one had the rack in it? The one where it's like got the dude and he's like got his arm sticking out and his legs sticking out and it like twists them all the way around until they like rip off.
I don't remember.
I haven't watched Saw 3 through 7 since then, so I don't remember.
Oh yeah,
but
no, I don't.
it's somewhere
remember
in
them
there.
when they came out.
That was probably the coolest trap in terms of like pain, because like you see that and it's like, oh god, oh no. Like
Pain level, I would
the
say yeah, that was
the
worse.
the bear trap is like the scariest, I would say, because like the fact that it's not something that happens over time. It's at any moment that thing can snap.
I thought it was on a timer.
And it is, but like you can't see the timer. Or at
Oh
least
yeah,
it's
yeah.
so like when you can't see the timer, you don't know. Like it's just a matter of like I don't know how much time has passed. Like it could go off at any moment. And this person's head could explode. Like, you can imagine being in that, and it's just like I don't know that like is was the scariest one to find myself in. But the rack was the most devastating, like the most torturous one, I guess I should say, to me, because it's like slow and very very painful.
I don't know. I feel like the rack one, and then there's one other one, but you said you hadn't seen Saw.
I
Like
haven't seen
newest one.
Spiral, the newest one, yeah. So if there's something in that one and that's really good, I have not seen that one yet. I want to watch it at some
It's
point just to get caught
not-
up, but
It's not like really good. I just feel like pain level wise and like the slowness of it, I feel like it would also be on par with the rack.
interesting.
I don't know, both would be equally bad. Just because of how you have to do it. Yeah, no, I'll just leave it at there. I don't want to spoil anything for you, and I also don't want to spoil anything for anybody that's gonna. But I would say there is at least one other trap out there from the newer movies that I would put on par with
Okay.
the rack.
But
so
moving on, my guess for your number 8 was the creeper from Jeepers Creepers.
incorrect. So no, the killer that I put for number 8 was, and I don't know if he actually has a name or if I'm just forgetting it, but the killer from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know if he has a name or not. Let me see.
Maybe they might have called him the Fisherman or the Hook or something, the Hookman or something. I don't know, something like of kind of like just you really
Ben
don't
Willis.
remember it.
Ben Willis is his name.
Yes.
Nothing's more intimidating than the name Ben Willis.
Why does it, like, when you say that though, it makes me think of Monsters vs. Aliens when like the little was it Bob? Is that his name?
Bob is the blob's name, yeah.
Yeah, the little blob goes, "Look out! Here comes Susan." I don't know why I was like thinking of, "Look out! Here comes Bob." Whatever his fucking name is. Apparently, I'm not gonna remember it.
Ben Willis.
Yeah. Look out! Here comes Ben Willis. I don't know why. Anyway, yeah. No. Definitely not a good killer name. Then make something better. But when the movie first came out, I think I Know What You Did Last Summer came out before Candyman. I feel like. I don't know. It was like around the time Candyman came out. But it was like in between Candyman and like Scream and like all these other films. So it was kind of like in the same realm as these kind of like movies were coming out at the exact same time.
It was after Candyman, but
I
don't. I say I didn't know this. I just decided to check it while you were saying, but not. But they were only like a handful of years apart.
Yeah.
So that same age.
It's just the way that the movie like played out just kind of reminded me so much of like those movies. So it kind of stuck to like the classic line, but still like I don't know, it brought a little bit more to the franchise in my opinion. Just because it wasn't like, hey, there's the killer over there. Look, he's stalking us. It was like, who is this person and how do they know what we did?
Yeah.
Because obviously the guy's dead. But like the whole thing, just like the reveal and everything.
A lot of movies have used that or a lot of slasher movies since have used that sort of plot device of you all did something messed up and somebody's trying to,
right that wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was just like a weird, interesting thing.
That movie, I
Um,
think, at least, was the start of that craze. They were at least the one to popularize it, I think. So like that was before that. So if anybody watched it after, they already saw a bunch of movies that did that. Just know, I know what you did last summer did it, but did it way before most of those.
yeah, exactly. So moving on from what I know what you did last summer. Before I actually do, the second film did suck. We'll put that out there. But the first one was good. So moving on from that, the killer I chose for your number 7 is, of course, another classic because classic serial killers are amazing. Ghostface.
Incorrect. This is still 0-0.
I know.
I feel like we'll earn more points later on because we haven't done really any of the gimmies yet. At least that have matched up. But my number 7 is Chucky.
Ooh, interesting.
So I honestly, again, Chucky is there'll be a few slasher series on here I'll mention that I haven't seen all the entries to. I've seen Child's Play 1, 2, and I think 3. I think I saw the third one. But I haven't seen any movies that actually straight up say Chucky in the name, like Bride of Chucky, Seed of Chucky, Cult of Chucky, Curse of
Right.
Chucky, those movies, or the TV show. But this past Halloween was when I actually moved past the first one because I'd only seen the first one until then. I haven't seen the remake either. But I like as a kid I wasn't allowed to watch it, but he was the coolest thing. Like he was like the top dog in slasher things at the time, at least in my neighborhood. People always talked about how Chucky was so creepy, but I wasn't allowed to watch it. I wasn't allowed to watch horror movies as a kid. My mom hated them. So most of these I haven't seen until the past like decade. And I sort of got free of all that and was able to just watch whatever I wanted. So I got on a big horror movie binge. But Chucky, or Child's Play, I always thought was cool. I liked the concept of a killer possessing a children's doll, and it was very. He's also got a lot of personality. Chucky does. So he's like, I like a lot of his one-liners and all that stuff. I do like some wittiness from my killers. So Chucky is one of the better ones at that, and the fact that he's a doll also makes a lot of it a little more creative. But I think we're just gonna leave it at that for now.
Chucky is amazing. I agree.
My guess for your number 7 was Pinhead from Hellraiser.
Incorrect. Actually, funny enough, I've never seen any of the Hellraiser movies.
Me neither, but I thought you did.
I have not. I have tried to get myself to sit down and watch it, but for whatever reason, my brain's just like, I really don't want to watch this movie right now. And
I want to
just
watch
never
them.
sit down.
I haven't gotten around to it yet.
I do want to eventually. We're eventually going to sit down and watch these.
Every
But,
Halloween, I watch a new horror franchise I haven't seen yet. But I kind of failed this past year because I didn't make it all the way through Chucky.
Wow.
I made it through Child's Play 1, 2, and 3, but I didn't make it past that. I was just too busy. But Hellraiser will come soon enough.
Yeah, I do. I really need to get on Hellraiser. But no. Freddy Krueger. I got
Okay.
lost on my list here. I was like, wait, what? Freddy Krueger. Freddy Krueger was always like an interesting character. With the fact that he's now a demon, because he wasn't human before, but he's now like this demon in the dream realm, and like everything that he does takes place only in the dream realm. He can only kill you when you're sleeping. I thought it was pretty interesting and unique at least for a slasher killer, because obviously everybody dies when they're awake in slasher films, and he was the first one to actually do the polar opposite. And then like just his whole storyline of like who he was and how he died and everything was pretty interesting, especially with the fact that back then, when that film first came out, I don't think a lot of movies really touched on children and
in that kind of manner.
yeah, in that
without,
kind of category.
without getting our podcast taken down.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
In that kind of category, yeah. So it was pretty interesting to see a movie that kind of touched up on that topic and, you know, was like showing how bad it was as well. It was just a really good movie. I think everything about it was like really played out well. Story plot, even like the remakes and everything. They didn't get really terribly bad like a lot of remakes do. Like Michael Myers and the Jason remakes and things like that. But it kind of it didn't deteriorate the plot really.
I'm not a huge fan of the remake, but it's not. It's not. It could have been a lot worse. Like it wasn't. It wasn't like a. It wasn't like. To me, at least, it didn't like completely ruin the franchise or anything like that. Like a lot of remakes tend to have said about them. It was just kind of. It wasn't super memorable, but it wasn't like it could have certainly been worse. Like remakes can and have been worse in the past.
Yeah, no, they definitely have been. But that's where I'm gonna leave it on Mr. Krueger for now.
If you get my number 6, I'll be very shocked because it's probably the most obscure. And it's
I
like
don't think I will. I actually know for a fact I will not. So for your number 6, and I'm not 100% sure if you would technically classify this as a slasher film, but I did just because of the sheer number of casualties in the film. I consider it a slasher film. But I chose Children of the Corn because it's just so fucking obscure for like a whole bunch of children just to murder all the adults of a whole entire town.
I thought you were gonna say like the xenomorph from Alien.
I thought you were going. The xenomorph. Yeah,
I was like, I don't know if I just sheer amount of casualties. Don't know if it counts as a slasher, that type of thing. But regardless, both of those answers would not be correct. My number 6. I don't know if you've seen this movie or not, but my number he's credited as the Man. Very specific. But this is the movie I was alluding to earlier. From a movie called Hush. I don't know if you've seen Hush.
I have not.
I love that movie. The premise is basically there's a deaf woman, that has where there's a masked man in this creepy smiley face outfit or mask, trying to break into her house and kill her, but she can't hear him coming because she's deaf. And this is mostly like this is more. It's not even so much. I mean, his mask is creepy, but like this has more so to do with the situation that he was put in that makes him creepier because of the fact that, like the not being able to hear, and you as the viewer can hear it sometimes, but like the fact that his victim couldn't hear him coming at any point, but still had to try to survive. I haven't seen that movie in a long time, but I think it was probably came out probably around 6 or 7 years ago. I think it was like 2016. But I watched that movie right. It was right after I got out of high school and I was going into college, and that was probably the at the time at least the most unique slasher flick that had come out in a while, because slasher movies weren't very popular anymore. They were in the mid 2010s. They sort of made a comeback over the past 5 years, but that like 2013 to 2018 time before the Halloween requel came out, slashers were kind of dead. But that one isn't like super violent, but it is very tense. It is a very, very tense movie. Because sometimes, it'll put you from the view of the girl where you can't hear, and so you have no idea where the killer is, and it's very good at tension building in that way, and that made the killer just very creepy to me because of the fact that half the time you can't hear him because she's deaf.
I'll have to
Yeah,
check that out.
I liked that movie a lot. Yeah, so most of the reason that killer's on the list isn't even because of anything he did. It's just because the person he attacked made him creepier. But
Okay, so before you continue,
okay.
So because we're on my number 6, I will go ahead and let everybody know I did choose 2 movies for this one.
Oh, this is the one. That's right.
This is the one I chose 2 movies for because the first movie, I don't know if you would technically consider it a slasher, just because of the way it is. But what I would like us to do, is you'll just go ahead and put out your first guess. I'll let you know if it's right or wrong. I'll say the movie. You'll let me know.
And then I do a second guess if I'm wrong.
Well, I'll let you know what the first movie was, and if we both agree that it's not a slasher film, we'll disregard that one, and then you'll just take your second guess.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that I did not guess your first guess because this is definitely a slasher, but my guess for your number 6 was Leatherface.
Incorrect.
Did you say him earlier, or did you guess him for me earlier?
I guessed him for you earlier.
Okay, I couldn't remember.
Incorrect. So, and I'll count both your guesses if it's anything else. But no, so for that one, it's incorrect. No, so the film I chose, or like the killer I chose, was Sweeney Todd. I wasn't sure if you would technically consider him a slasher, even though he does technically slash people's throats quite thoroughly. Throughout the film, that's literally, and then he's making them into pies. But it's more of like it's not, I wouldn't say Disney, but like it's not your stereotypical slasher. I want to say Disney because it's Johnny Depp, and I'm like, that's what I think
Johnny
of when
Depp,
I think
Tim Burton,
yeah. But no, it's not Disney. It's not related to Disney at all. So I don't know.
I wouldn't say that counts. I don't as a slasher, but
think it would. That's why
I see how that would be. That is very. It's like he's technically slashing things, but
it's a very
slashing people. But slasher typically just implies that it's like a horror movie, I guess. Which I guess Sweeney Todd is like in some vein horror, but
yeah,
it's not meant to be scary though. It's more so like horror in its theme.
Right.
What do you think?
So I did think, based on your opinion, whether or not we were going to accept that one. So since that is your opinion, I will not accept that one. But I will keep your guess for future uses, if need be. But your second guess.
I'm gonna have to actually think of one just because I only had 10 guesses written down. I'm gonna go with. You think of a. I'm gonna throw out a rule that I can't pick something you've already named that I didn't have you originally writing down because that's not fair. Because I was gonna be like, oh, I could just put the dude from I Know What You Did Last Summer. I could put Ben Willis and earn a free point. But no. Let's go with. I'll go with the baby face person from Happy Death Day.
Ooh, interesting. Also incorrect. That's pretty interesting though. I didn't even think of that movie. No, I went with another cult classic. I'm all about the classics. Hannibal Lecter.
Oh, I almost said that. God damn it! I almost said just now. I don't have them written down for you, but that was one I considered, and I was like, probably not. Since you already listed Children of the Corn, I feel like I just had a feeling you weren't gonna list it. And God damn it!
Hannibal Lecter is like one of my favorite killers.
I don't know what children
I
of corn has to do with it, but
funny fact though, I actually didn't like any of his Hannibal Lecter films except for Silence of the Lamb.
yeah.
And then the Hannibal TV show. I couldn't get into the other Hannibal Lecter films as much because it was just a little too slow for me. But
Anthony
overall,
Hopkins
Hannibal
does
Lecter's
a
pretty good.
great job as Hannibal.
Oh, he really does. 100%. And then like I don't know the guy's name in Lecter. Is it Lecter or is it just called Hannibal? The
I think
TV
it's
series.
Hannibal, but I'm not positive. I haven't seen it, but I think it's Hannibal.
He's
There could be one
really
called
good
Lecter,
for
but-
playing like a younger Hannibal Lecter. He's just I don't know. It's so interesting the way he like if since you haven't seen it, it's pretty interesting because he inserts himself into like police investigations and things like that. And it's like not directed at him; it's just like other serial killers. So
I
it's
thought he
pretty
was doing like a
interesting.
Death Note thing.
No, no. So he was like inserting himself into. I don't remember exactly how he got involved. I think it was like a professor or something. Came to him to try and solve crimes, but then they ended up working together to solve other murders and capture other serial killers and stuff like that. All while he's still being himself at the same time. And so I thought it was just like a really interesting concept that they did with the show. But Silence of the Lambs is probably my favorite.
That is certainly a classic.
Moving on from Mr. Lecter, we're going to move on to your number 5, which is Michael Myers.
Incorrect, though you are going to earn a point because my number 5 is Leatherface.
Ooh, interesting.
Leatherface was my franchise of horror 2 years ago for Halloween that I again didn't make it through. I only made it through the first 2 movies. And then I'd seen the remake previously, but I hadn't seen I feel like I had seen the original, but too long ago to remember, so I had rewatched it a couple years ago, and then the second one, which I definitely had not seen. And, like, Leatherface is very creepy because he's so deranged. He's very, like, I don't know, the fact that he's very mental, I guess, would be a way to put it. And wielding a chainsaw. The thing that if you even touch, no matter what the force is, it chops you up.
I mean, that's true.
Like,
That's true.
like he could just turn around and accidentally cut you in half. Like,
I think it is also really cool just because, like, at least only the first film, not the other films. The very first film was actually based off a real serial killer that actually did kill people with a chainsaw.
It does stretch the truth a lot, but it is definitely pretty creepy how it's based off of.
Yeah.
Like
It's loosely based off of them.
But what was it? Was it Ed Gein? Was that his name? Yeah, it's
I
based
think
off
it
of.
was, yeah.
I did read into that, and it is very cool, very creepy. I did enjoy reading that story, probably even more than watching the movie itself. But yeah, he's just very, very creepy. Just don't want to be around him. Yeah, but for your number 5, or no, I'm wrong because I believe earlier you said they weren't on your list, but I put Jigsaw.
Incorrect. But you still gain a point because my number 5 was Candyman.
All right.
It was really funny when you said that, though. No, Candyman is a really interesting character. The first one, not the second one, because the second one freaking sucked, as per usual when it comes to serial killers. The first movie was pretty interesting, though. The whole aspect behind it. I don't know. I also feel like the heroine was also a really good character. Everything about that movie was just like a really good and well put together. I mean, there's not really much you can say on it because it was just overall a good movie.
Yeah.
But we're gonna move on from Candyman because I'm interested to know if I get any of these last 4, right?
I think
And
you're gonna get. I think you're honestly. I think you're gonna get nothing but points throughout the rest of this episode.
Yeah, probably. Number 4, I know I more than likely got wrong because of what you had stated earlier. For number 4, I put Pinhead for you.
Oh yeah, no. Okay. I don't know if you've listed this person yet, but I feel like you did somewhere for me. But only tell me if you've listed them already. For me, my number 4 was Ghostface.
I did.
I thought so. So
I did. It was number 7.
that is 2 points for you. I had no doubt that you listed him somewhere. I just couldn't know if you got to it yet or not.
Is it 2 points or 1 point? I thought it was 1 point.
Yeah.
Unless it was 1 away.
No, it was 1 point.
Oh, okay, 2 overall is what you're saying.
Yeah, you got 2 overall. And yeah, so I'll be very. I know for a fact that you've already guessed. Yeah, I'm not gonna say go any further. Let's go into Ghostface. Probably should talk about my topic rather than the points. Ghostface. I have seen Scream 1. I think 2, perhaps 3. It was a long time ago. I watched a couple Scream movies. I've seen the newest, well, not the newest one, not the one that literally just came out, but was it Scream 5, 6, whatever the one that came out before the most recent one was, the requel, whatever you want to call it. I don't know if it was Scream 5 or 6. I don't know the numbers because I got rid of the number for that one, so I don't remember. They just called it Scream, but it was still a full-on sequel.
I think it's 6, because I think 7 just came out.
Was it 7 that just came out? Okay. But that I liked the idea, especially the original Scream came out during a time when slashers were very prevalent in the 90s. Towards the end of the 80s, going through the 90s, slashers were everywhere. Just all kinds of low-budget slashers. Were just being very prominent, while a bunch of sequels to the OGs were still coming out. And so they had a lot of stereotypes created throughout that decade. And Scream just kind of, I don't know, just kind of managed to meta poke fun at all of them while being an extremely clever slasher in and of itself.
Yeah.
At the same time, from the amazing mind of Wes Craven, the guy that also created Nightmare on Elm Street, and the fact that, like, it also spoilers for Scream 1, the fact that I don't think any of those masked killer movies up to that point, at least that I can recall, had the plot twist where the killer was 2 people, not just 1. And it changes every time. So Ghostface, specifically the first one, I guess since technically Ghostface isn't the same person in all the movies, it's a new person every time. But if I have to pick just one, it'd be the original Ghostface. But both of them, because technically they're both the same villain, just as a duo portraying one character.
I think though.
But I don't think we're gonna take it that seriously.
I think every film has had 2 Ghostface though, but it's always 2 just different.
I haven't seen them all, so I don't remember. But I know at least in the original Scream, that was like, you can do that. I was like, wait, you can have 2 people? Like, that's allowed? I don't think it's in the slasher
100%.
rules.
That was definitely a game changer when it came towards.
It was
scary movie.
It was a very refreshing movie in a time where slashers were getting very worn out because they were all over the place. But they weren't all over the place in terms of their creativity. So Scream was very refreshing at a time when people were starting to get tired of slasher movies because they were sort of like the late 2010s with superhero movies. Like, by that time, people just kind of tired because they're everywhere, they're happening all the time. Scream was a very needed breath of fresh air, and the way they handled Ghostface was a very major part of that.
Oh, 100%. I will say definitely, out of all the, 'cause I've seen every single one except for the newest one because it's still in theaters and I'm not waiting. I'm not paying to get to the theater. So I'll just wait until it's on TV. But I've watched every single one, and I'll be honest. I think my favorite was the very first one.
Yeah.
Serial killer wise, not, it has nothing to do with the plot or anything. I really like those two actors that played
Yeah.
Ghostface in the first movie.
Yeah, it was very well done. But my number 4 pick for you, you've already said, so I get a point. Freddy Krueger. At least I think you already said.
I did say it.
Okay, I thought so. This is your silence had me questioning it. I was like, I'm pretty sure we had a whole discussion. But
Well, I mean, it's incorrect, but you did get a point for Freddy
yeah.
Krueger, and you also got another point because it's another character that you already said. That's why I was silent for a second. I was
Okay.
like, did he just seriously gain 2 points while getting it wrong? No, my number 4 is actually Chucky.
Okay.
Obviously, for every reason that you stated, Chucky's just a really good character.
Mm.
Everything about Chucky I absolutely love. I love all the like little also design concepts, marketing things that they had for Chucky, like the Happy Guy the Good Guy cereal,
Yeah.
everything like that. It was just like it was so interesting to see. And I know around that time they also had Annabelle came out. The first movie I think came out.
Wait, compared
I think
to which Chucky movie?
to the first Chucky, just Chucky, and then
So
like Annabelle.
Annabelle came out
like
like 20 years later, or like 20 to 30 years after Chucky.
well, okay, well I'm comparing their um they're both dolls. I just feel that the fact that Annabelle was like a demon versus Chucky who was like a human, I think played over better for me personally. As far as like doll serial killers go, I liked the fact that it was once a human that took over and possessed Chucky. Because I just feel like it gave more life and more character to the character.
Yeah, and it definitely did add, especially since they like who he is kind of going in.
Yeah.
It had and it brought an interesting dynamic to the character.
All right. So, as far as Chucky, because I know you did say a lot about Chucky, and I mean, honestly, you kind of covered the bases there. So there's not that much more for me to say about him. So I'm gonna jump into number 3 for you, and I know I got this wrong, but I put Hannibal Lecter for you.
Yeah, that is incorrect. I feel you did again. This is another one similar to the previous one, where I know you've got to have them listed somewhere. I just forget if you've said it yet. My number 3 is Michael Myers.
Yeah, that was my number 5.
Okay, so you're up to 3. We're tied 3-3.
Can we just keep this going with me at least scoring points for later on?
I have a very good feeling you're going to continue to score points. But Michael Myers, I like the idea. So I like the idea of, at least in the earlier movies, not so much in a lot of later movies, but when he was very much like a stalker.
Oh, yeah.
For the other ones, like where he's, you just kind of see him standing there staring, and like a very important detail that that again, another thing I think the newer movies got right that the older ones didn't, was not showing his eyes. There was one scene in Halloween Kills when they showed Michael's eyes, but it was done very tastefully to make you like feel shocked or like make you feel intimidated when they showed you his eyes for a split second. But like it's just deep, it's just black behind the eye holes, so it's literally some like his name, and you know what he looked like as a kid, but like you don't know what's going on in his mind. You don't know what, like in the original movie, I should say.
Yeah.
And sequels tried to explain it, which I think ruined it for me. The not knowing was the creepiest part for me. The no motivations that you know of, no like reasoning, just something is in that mask and is killing people, and it behaving very strangely with the whole stalker thing, and that made him very creepy to me. And in that regard, I liked the mystery of Michael Myers.
I think the
Yeah.
thing I loved, and it was in the second timeline with his niece, before the one with the baby. I don't remember any of the names of the Michael Myers movies because they've just gone through so many.
They're always something of Michael Myers.
Yeah, I don't even know which ones fall in which line anymore.
Yeah.
But the one where his niece was young, and it hadn't reached the point where she escaped and had the baby. But when Michael kidnapped her and was about to kill her for the first time, I think they were like in a barn or they were in his old house. I can't remember exactly the details of it, but I remember that she reached up to Michael's mask, and I think that was the first time that I ever really truly kind of teased like they were gonna reveal who it was or like what he looked like now. And like she got the mask like halfway up or whatever, and then he decided not to, and he like kind of pushed her hand away. He wasn't even really forceful. He kind of just pushed her hand away, and pulled his mask back down and left. Which was also unlike Michael at the time, so it's kind of really confusing. But he should have just killed her. But we'll get into that some other time. I just thought it was interesting how they also would tease, and like different angles, seeing where it would kind of like tease his face a little bit, but like not ever show it.
Yeah. I hated the movies whenever you could just blatantly see his eyes behind the mask.
Yeah.
One, it just looked fucking stupid, and two, it just got. And I don't know. There's a lot more. It's a little detail that does a lot when you can't see his eyes behind the mask. Whenever his whole character is meant to be a mystery, I'm not a huge fan of, the cult plotline or the family timeline, where they add a lot of detail to it. Like if it was anything else, maybe like I could enjoy it, but it's just I like the original concept of Michael being just basically an empty shape, if you will.
Yeah.
But with you not knowing anything about his motives, personality, reasoning, if he has any of those things to begin with. And just leaving it all a mystery makes it more creepy to me, which is what put him up at number 3. But yeah.
I kind of find it funny that you say that though, the shape, because that's what they call him in Dead by Daylight, is the shape.
Yeah, because that's what they credit him as in the movie. They call him and they also just tends to be called the Shape of Horror is his nickname.
That's so crazy.
Because he's not a human, and he's technically human, but like he's so far
Emotionally,
gone and
yeah.
empty that they just call him a shape. But yeah, my guess for your number 3 though was Ghostface. Is this a good silence or bad silence?
It depends who you're looking point of view at. For me, it's bad. For you kind of got it dead on.
Wait, is it Ghostface? Is he number 3? Let's go 6-3. I feel a lot better now. Okay.
You just got lucky. I was praying that you would not get the last 3. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Because obviously you've already stated all the reasons. What is there not to love about Ghostface? So since we already technically know about Ghostface and the reasons why, because I mean seriously, we all
we had a pretty long tangent earlier about Ghostface.
For your number 2, I put the guy from I Know What You Did Last Summer.
That is incorrect, though I think you've again already said this person. My number 2 was Jason Voorhees.
Yes, I did. Can we? Shit, I need to get the last one spot on to like even to win this. The last one has to be spot on.
That is true. But Jason, I like much like in contrast to Michael. Like I don't care whether you can see Jason's eyes or not. Like we know what he looks like under the mask under certain situations. It's broken, and his isn't as much of a mystery because you know why. Like they tell you like what happened to him and why he wants to kill. That's not his character. His character is more so he's on here because he kills people in very glorious and entertaining ways. That like, and there's a certain humor to his character. His character's kind of goofy in a way, like you know, Friday the 13th Part 8. Jason takes Manhattan. Which,
Yeah.
for one, hardly any of it's in the city. Two, that city is not Manhattan. They tell you it is, but it's not. It's not where it was filmed. But like just the idea of Jason going to take Manhattan, or Jason X, where he goes into space, he turns into Uber Jason with the freaking sci-fi armor, and there's a certain campiness to his. His is not like self-aware, but his is more over the top with the like the kills having. We're wielding tons of different types of weapons, having like decapitations, or the scene in the freaking remake where there's the girl that's like nude skiing and then she ends up like she hides under the dock and then he like machetes her in the head, pulls her up just high enough for her boobs to come out of the water.
Oh
like,
my god.
That's so fucking stupid in the best way possible. it's like it's hilarious and just glorious kills. That's basically the same reason everybody likes him. Glorious kills. Like the kills are outstanding. Yeah, I don't think you really have to explain why Jason's on your list. He's kind of the de facto killer. I'm gonna throw out an honorable mention while we're on the subject to Pamela Voorhees from the first one.
Oh yeah.
Like gotta throw out a reference to the OG Friday the 13th killer. Spoiler: Pamela Voorhees is not my number one, but yeah. Anyway, my guess for your number two. On the bright side, on the downside for you, I know I'm earning a point. On the bright side, I know I'm not earning more than 1 point.
Damn it.
My number two for you is Michael Myers, which I believe was your number 9.
Yes.
So that brings me up to 7.
It's incorrect, obviously. No, my number 2 was Pyramid Head /
That's the
red
one.
pyramid thing.
Yeah, this is the one where I was like, yeah, and I guess that does count. Like, it's not really a slasher movie, but he's a dude with a big fucking sword that he slashes people with, and it's a horror movie. But yeah, that counts. And he's from a game, but he's also in a movie.
So everything about him is just really fucking awesome.
I mean, yeah.
First off, he's massive. Second of all, he does not give a flying fuck
about anything.
about anything. He's a bully. He tortures the nurses. He even tortures other creatures in his realm, not just the humans. So I thought it was just an interesting kind of killer. You just not give a fuck.
In his original game, I should say, he has his reason for existence is a lot cooler, but it's a whole spiel that I haven't played the game recently enough to go into, but has a lot more to do with the character. I forget the character you play as name, but his reason for being in Silent Hill, because it's a whole shebang. But basically, if you played the original Silent Hills, his character gets even better. Because of his reason for existence is really cool, but it's too long and complicated to talk about right now, since this is a movie-based podcast.
Right. So yes, that was my number 2. Coincidentally enough, I also put that as your number 1.
Oh. That is incorrect. But if it's any consonants, you are getting a point. Because my number one is Freddy Krueger.
Oh, okay.
Freddy
Okay, I didn't
has.
think you would like Freddy Krueger
Oh,
as
I
much as I.
love Freddy Krueger. So
Interesting.
what I was saying earlier is a lot of top 10 lists and stuff, or ranked lists for serial or for slasher villains, or horror movie killers. Freddy Krueger is always on the list, but he's never at number one. It's just really aggravating to me. And like I'm being on the, obviously like not on a personal level, like just being on the list is like a sign of achievement, but like he's always like number 3 or number 2, number 4.
Yeah.
Never number 1. So I'm giving him his dues here at number 1. One, the sheer concept of a villain that kills you while you're asleep, and so you have to try to stay awake or you're going to die, is awesome. 2, he's simultaneously the most likable yet least likable slasher villain at the same time, because like his quips are goofy yet also very unsettling. He's very cool, cracks a lot of jokes, but at the same time did that stuff with kids. So like he's awful, but like super entertaining at the same time. Like he's a horrible human being, obviously. He's killing people. He did that stuff that I'm not going to mention in the past and all that, but he's very entertaining to watch. And he's got some of the most creative kills I've ever seen. Like freaking pulling Johnny Depp into the fucking bed and with the freaking blood fountain squirting, like just flooding out onto the ceiling. It's so fucking cool. And I love his glove hand with the blades on it, his gardening glove with the knives. And he, freaking god damn it, what's his name? God damn it, I know his name. The actor. It's killing me, I can't remember. I know his name.
I vaguely know who you're talking about.
That plays him is so good. It's killing me because I'm a huge Nightmare on Elm Street fan. I've seen all of the movies several times. Also, I'm gonna throw out there for Friday the 13th. I've seen all of them as well. But also, randomly, just because I thought of this, because I don't know if you've seen the Friday the 13th fan movies, Don't Hike in the Snow or Don't Hike Alone, I believe is what it's called, or Never Hike in the Snow, Never Hike Alone.
I have not.
They're very good Friday the 13th fan films, since we have no idea when we're getting another Friday the 13th movie due to the legal battle. That studio has announced they're making a Nightmare on Elm Street fan movie. There's a teaser, there's a trailer for it and everything, and I'm so excited. I can't remember the name of it. It's someone's New Nightmare. Not like New Nightmare is the name of one of the Friday the 13th movies, but this one's like a person's name's New Nightmare, not Wes Craven, but
yeah.
I'm very excited for that, because if it's half as good as the Friday the 13th fan movies were, I'll finally get a new taste of Nightmare on Elm Street. But it's also a lot of people say that Laurie Strode, played by Jamie Lee Curtis, is the best final girl quote in slasher movies. I'm gonna counter you with Heather Langenkamp as Nancy in Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
She's my favorite. Particularly, I like Nightmare on Elm Street 1. I like Nightmare on Elm Street 3, Dream Warriors, and New Nightmare. And then Freddy vs. Jason is goofy fun.
Yeah.
But have you seen New Nightmare? Which I think is the 7th Nightmare on Elm Street movie? It was the one after Freddy's dead, the final nightmare.
I don't think so, but I have the full collection.
You should watch that one if you make it through all the movies. It was Wes Craven came back to make it. It was very clever in that in the movie itself, they're making a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie. I keep almost saying Friday the 13th, but a new Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and they have like Heather Langenkamp, the girl that plays Nancy, show up, but they're actually calling her Heather because like it's supposed to be like the movie set, but then like Freddy like haunts the movie set and everything.
Yeah,
It was so
now
creative.
that you're saying it, I completely do remember it. Yeah, I did see it. She has like a small child at that point, right?
Probably. I haven't seen that one in a while, but I just remember really liking it. Basically, I just realized I think I just like the movies with Heather Langenkamp in it. Because she's also she wasn't in Nightmare on Elm Street 2, but she was in Nightmare on Elm Street 3. And for reasons, if you haven't seen the movies, she's not in them again until New Nightmare. But I guess she wasn't in Freddy vs. Jason though. But I did enjoy that one. But like, have you seen Freddy vs. Jason?
I have. Freddy vs. Jason is such an underrated movie, but it's really good.
Like, I like this. Again, it's really goofy, but like that's what makes it enjoyable for me. The scene where freaking Freddy's pinball machining Jason around through the freaking factory, and he's like bouncing around, and you hear the ding 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 ding. He's just bouncing around.
Oh my god, that is so true. Yeah,
Freddy.
That was the best scene.
Freddy is my favorite slasher character by far.
Ooh.
He's always been my favorite. Like even since. Again, as a kid, I wasn't allowed to watch him. Just the sheer concept of Freddy Krueger is so awesome.
It really is. It really is. I would love for them to make like a dedicated Freddy Krueger game, like a full story plot game, not like they did with Friday the 13th. Even though that would kind of be cool too.
Yeah, Friday the 13th, the game was also awesome. That's a game we should play at some point.
I do have it installed.
Oh, really? Sweet.
Yeah.
We'll have to do that at some point. If anybody hasn't played that, but if you've played Dead by Daylight, it's similar, but it's not as good in that it's exclusively Friday the 13th, not a ton of horror franchises, but it's better in that there's a lot more than just one way to win as the survivor. Though there are several different forms of Jason you can be, but as a survivor, there's like all kinds of different ways you can do it, and there are different maps, I think. I don't remember. Are there different maps? Like different years or something? I don't know. But there's
I honestly don't know.
But there are like several different ways to win, and it's really difficult, but there is a way to kill Jason. It's probably the hardest way to win, but it is possible, and if your team can pull it off, it is really cool. So gameplay wise, I prefer Friday the 13th the game to Dead by Daylight. But Dead by Daylight has a lot more variety in terms of the characters. Like you got Resident Evil, you got Silent Hill, you got Nightmare on Elm Street, you got Halloween, you got everything. You got Hellraiser. You got a ton of franchises in there and some original stuff. And sure, Dead by Daylight's probably better as like an esport or whatever in terms of balancing. But like I play this shit to have fun, not to have like a extremely specifically well balanced gameplay experience. I want it to be I just want it to be fun. Like, and Friday the 13th is more fun in my opinion. But that's not the subject right now. It is slasher, and I still have to get to your number one because I just realized we haven't done yours. I'm so used to going last.
We're still on your number one.
But yeah, Freddy Krueger is not underrated per se because everybody talks about how he's great, but not like he's never considered number one, and so I'm giving him his due. But my guess for your number one was Jason Voorhees, which I know you've already said.
Incorrect. That one was actually my Leatherface. Leatherface has always just been my favorite as well. It's always been like Leatherface and Michael.
Okay, so I got an extra point there too.
Yeah, so I knew you were gonna win this one. There was no way that you weren't gonna win this one. Just because my list is so generic. Because I like the classics a lot better than I like the newer killers.
I mean, if you see, my top 5 are literally Leatherface, Ghostface, Michael Myers, Jason Voorhees, and Freddy Krueger.
Yeah.
But I just had some on the
Um,
lower ones. I had actually most of mine are old, except for the one from Hush. And I guess Jigsaw isn't technically old, but in terms of
you
horror
almost
standards,
got okay. You got like 4 of mine wrong, but you almost got like full 10 points. So it's almost as if you
yeah,
had gotten everything on the list right, just in the
yeah,
wrong place.
it's one of the highest scores we've had so far. I'm actually shocked. I didn't think I'd do that, and I think we both knew that we were all going to have Freddy, Jason, and Michael, and most likely Ghostface and Leatherface. Or,
Yeah.
but Freddy, Jason, Michael's a given. Like, if you don't have those on your list, people probably won't trust your opinion to begin with on these, because they're the unholy trinity of horror when it comes to
That's true.
slashers. But,
Oh wait, hey, did you say Freddy for any of my guesses?
I did, and I gave myself a point for it.
Okay. I did not mark it for you on mine.
Yeah, so my final score I have is 9-5. Dolly Parton.
No, it should be 9 to 5.
I have.
I'm showing 10 to 5.
I'm missing one. So I have I show that I got 5 total people correct. Wait, am I missing? Oh
You
wait.
should have Jason, Michael, right?
For what I got for you, I forgot to check Michael on my thingy. But I have, and then you had. Oh, so and then there's other things. Okay, so I have the ones that I got right. Wait, did you have Ghostface listed somewhere?
Yeah, you got Ghostface dead on the money. So you should
Okay.
have 3 points for Ghostface.
What did I check off?
Then you should have Jason, Michael, and
Yeah.
Freddy.
Jason,
Candyman,
Freddy,
Chucky, and then Leatherface.
That's 9 points though.
Mm.
But I feel like I'm. But
Maybe I'm just counting everything wrong.
so wait, so hang on. Can you say it again? Because like one thing says it should be 10, but my finger count was saying 9. So there's 3 for Ghostface, right?
3 for Ghostface.
Then I got Michael and I'm going off of my list, so it might not be in order. But Michael and Jason are both on yours, right?
Correct.
Freddy. Oh, you didn't have Jigsaw, did you?
No.
Okay, so I accidentally marked Jigsaw. That's where that mistake comes from. But I'm at 6, right? 3 for Ghostface, Michael, Jason, Freddy.
Yep.
Unless I got 2 points for something, I didn't realize it.
No.
Okay. And then Leatherface, Chucky, and Candyman.
Yeah, I was just adding everything wrong.
Okay. And not that it really matters, but I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to be any further ahead than I was. Okay, but I guess that means I get to pick topic for next week. Oh shoot, we forgot to say our topics at the beginning.
Well, okay.
But
I'm really glad we did because I forgot to pick a topic. So.
yeah, me too. So let's see. Here's something completely off the wall from what we've done before. So, how about our top 10 favorite anime openings, like the opening songs?
Ooh, okay.
There's a new unique episode that's different from what we've had before.
There's a question though when it comes to this. Are we
Only the originals. So we're not counting any
only
English
the
dubs.
originals? Okay.
So no Pokemon.
Well, okay. Well, what I'm specifically asking. Let me rephrase. What I'm specifically asking is because in Naruto they do this a lot, where every like maybe 3 or 4 seasons they'll change the song
and
to a new song.
And it can be any song they use throughout the whole series. Just like it has to be the Japanese original, not if they made a new one for the English dub. Unless, like, the only one I can think of where I would do that is Pokemon, but I feel like that would be too obvious. So that's the only reason I say that.
I feel like that would be too vague though, because if a series would have like so many different opening songs that are in Japanese.
Most of them, I feel like, will be. I can at least tell you for you, most of mine will be the first opening for songs.
Yeah.
Because
I'm gonna personally just stick to like season 1 openings.
Yeah, most if not all. I think there's like maybe one I would do that wouldn't be the original opening, but I don't even know if it'll make it on the list or not. But pretty much all of them will be a season 1 thing, for the most part. So I can't. There's only one series I can think of where my favorite is not a season 1 song. But I thought that would be cool, just as a neat change. But yeah, so thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next episode. AquaLeaderJesse on YouTube, and Jesse Saffron on Spotify. I think I'll go ahead and plug that part for me. And then Whitney is Fairy Fox Gaming on YouTube and Twitch. And we'll catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye bye.